Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Divided Films, the podcast where audiences and critics do not agree about movies and we pick a side. With me, as always, is my co-host Keith.
Hello.
And joining us today on the podcast, returning, is our good friend Dan Conroy.
Woo! What's up, dividends? We calling them that still? Is that a thing? Did that happen?
You know, it hasn't stuck, but we'll keep trying. God almighty.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And, Dan, we've heard that you and another past guest of ours, Andy Martinez, have been putting together a podcast of your own. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, JJ, you know I would love that. We're doing a podcast that is coming up very soon called Cursed Impressions. Cursed Impressions. You know, it'd be great if I said the name correctly. It's called Cursed Impressions, folks. It will be available anywhere you can stream podcasts. Basically, the whole idea is we have Andy Martinez, who is a fantastic impressionist, I would say. He does amazing impressions. I am what we would call impression illiterate. I can't do anything besides my own squeaky voice. And so we're going to come together. We're going to pick some celebrities, do a little zip, zap, zop, and do a little impression of them. Play some games, see how we sound in them. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. So release to be determined, question mark. But definitely look for that very soon, wherever fine podcasts are sold at your local libraries and blood banks.
Can I try an impression?
Yeah, of course.
I've been working on John Mulaney. How is everybody doing today? Is that a good one?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can riff off that. I'm the kind of guy who only ate crackers for like 20 years.
I'm
Not
on a
bad.
podcast about movies. Now, that's a movie podcast,
New York. Is that good?
I'm so bad at impressions. I will not
It's just
even
us
pretend.
going, is this good?
Wait, what was that, JJ?
I'm so bad at impressions. I won't even attempt to do a bad impression.
I can't do an impression to save my life, and I just want to say Andy is fantastic at it, and it's definitely worth watching, listening to. Do we watch podcasts yet? One day we will.
You watch with your ears.
Watch with your ears and listen with your heart. Cursed Impressions.
But yeah, that sounds awesome, man. I'm looking forward to when you guys debut that, and we will
Thank you.
definitely help spread the word.
I appreciate it.
When you start dropping episodes. So definitely looking forward to that. So today we decided to have a little fun with today's episode, and we're all having a drink, drinkity drink.
Yes.
And we decided to do our first ever drunk episode or tipsy episode, depending on how far we want to go.
Buzzed.
I'm starting this a little buzzed already, but we will progressively drink more and more throughout this conversation. So, it's going to be a fun one. Today, we are discussing the 2020 movie Sonic the Hedgehog.
Woof.
Starring Jim Carrey. This movie falls into the category of having a mixed to negative score from critics and a very positive score from audiences. On Rotten Tomatoes, 63% of critics approve, so barely above that fresh threshold there. But 93% of audiences approved of Sonic the Hedgehog. That is a very high I-score, 93%.
That's where the classics belong.
That's a solid A. That's like really, really. I already said it. Really high score. And that's what happens when you drink and you record yourself. You repeat yourself. So here we go.
Hey, at least you said your podcast correctly.
Well, I was into viral films. But in the critics' consensus, fittingly fleet and frequently fun, Sonic the Hedgehog is a video game-inspired adventure the whole family can enjoy, and a fine excuse for Jim Carrey to tap into the manic energy that launched his career. So there you have it. I had a feeling that audiences would like this a lot more than the critics. I didn't realize they would like it this much. That is very, very up there. And I can kind of see it, though. I watched it for the first time recently. I didn't see it when it came out in theaters, which, by the way, I think this is one of the last movies released right before the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken.
This was one of the last things I did before COVID-19. And I don't want to like speak to any like auspices or anything like that. All I want to say is one of the last things I did, one of my last bits of freedom before the quarantine was I said, hey, I want to spend my American dollars at a movie theater to see Sonic the Blue Boy Hedgehog.
You know, audiences would have you believe that you ended your pre-COVID time on a high note.
I wish I was with those monsters, but unfortunately, I feel a little differently. We'll get into it in a minute, but yeah. What a time to be alive.
What was your initial reaction though when you saw it? Did you like think, "What the heck did I just see?" Like, what were you thinking when you were watching this in the movie theater?
I just had I had so many. So I saw this in the movie theaters about a year ago. I recently watched it yesterday to kind of refresh my memory as to what I saw. And that's a great question. It when I first saw it in theaters, and I want to be careful because I find myself, I just realized like I've been very lucky to be on Divided Films a couple of times. Guys, it's been a pleasure to be here. And the last two films that I've done were real like awesome sort of roller coastery films with a not fantastic plot line, but was more about the thrill and the adventure, which are movies that I love to talk about. This one, friggin', it's like it needed more of that when it had it, and it was trying too hard to give you some sort of beautiful like moments of drama or like real like discovery between two characters. All I want is the big blue hedgehog. I'm trying not to scream on camera, but all I want is the blue boy himself, Sonic, the ring gatherer hedgehog. And yet for some, like, that's all I felt through it. Not to speak of course, the just glaring advertisements in between, just the spot, which we'll get to in a minute, I know, but like, I guess when I was in the movie theater, it was in between enjoying the action and an incredulity that a couple times made me scream, "Fuck you" at the screen. That I went through. Look, I have places to go and I need to follow my rainbow, as Sonic's song tells us. And my rainbow just wasn't with this movie the whole time.
Wow. You're right. I mean, this was an interesting experience watching this for the first time. That, I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect, really. But I don't know. Even though there were definitely glaring product placement and some very curious pop culture references, I felt for the most part it was fairly harmless. Like, I don't know. It was silly, but it wasn't like... It was like, meh. I mean, first of all, who even asked for a Sonic the Hedgehog movie? Does Sonic the Hedgehog warrant a movie? I don't think so. What I thought was funny, too, is the movie, when it opens up and you get the production company title cards, like in any movie. This is a Sega movie production? Has there been one before this? And will there be one after? I don't know.
I don't know. And honestly, I wrote a bunch of notes in my notebook app on my iPhone, and literally the title is "Fuck This Sonic Notes." And one in the beginning was just let's celebrate all the Sega hits at the beginning, like, you know, all those great video games.
It sounded, I did actually make a mental note when I saw those opening credits. I'm going like, I think they want to start something.
Yeah,
they want to start a franchise or a trend.
Like I still think we're building up to like a Super Smash Brothers movie maybe not today, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday.
The next day, we enjoyed a Super Smash Brothers movie with Danny DeVito starring as Kirby.
Oh my gosh!
Well, I love that it said, I just want to say, I love that in that slide, it said Sega, and then in the next one, it said original film, which makes me think it was a Sega original film. You know, in case there was any doubt that this was just a Sega bootleg film, or like they went out of their way to make two slides, one that says Sega and one that says original film.
Is this really a Sega movie? I need proof.
I need proof because I hear my dad works at Sega.
He's going to be mad.
He's going to be so mad at this.
Okay, so Keith, give me your initial thoughts though, because did you see this before we? Okay, you had not. You're shaking your head, but
I'm on a podcast, of course. Yeah, no, I'm like shaking my head. Meh. I mean, like this movie. I don't think this movie's like downright, like, this movie's not bad. I don't think it's bad, but it's not good.
It's fine for what it is.
It's not even fine. It's not even fine for me. It's like the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, oh, I do see a need, or I don't see a need, but I can understand why there's a Sonic movie. Like he's way more popular than I don't know how than we could ever imagine.
Is he
Like not
popular?
even through memes.
Is his
He has a TV
Mhm.
show.
Well, a long time
Like
ago he
he has
did.
a
Didn't
very
not that one. There's like a 3D one.
there's a bunch.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know he had something recent. I don't keep up with Sonic media. I'm sorry.
And that's before you get
There's
into like the
lore.
Sonic online community. Yeah.
I used to read
Which that's
some
a
of
real
the
treasure
comics.
trove if you've got a minute.
Ugh.
I used to read some of the Sonic comics, like before Shadow, like when Knuckles was getting.
They were
introduced. I used to
originally
read-
they were made Keith by the same guys that did Archie comics for a bit, right? Or am I wrong?
I'm not surprised if they also did like Simpson comics. I used
Yeah,
to read
I
a
believe
lot of
that.
I read
too.
those. I read those.
I had some Simpson comics.
And like so I understand like a Sonic movie coming out someday.
Yeah.
But this is one critic's review hit me like it's like oh it's like yeah this movie's brought to you by Zillow and Olive Garden.
Oh,
Oh my
that was
gosh.
that,
Zillow was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in a movie.
that was unbelievable.
Yeah,
like
why?
they paused the movie. They paused that, and this is a kids movie. I did have to wrestle with the fact that like I am a 30-year-old like non-family man watching a kids movie, but I do want to give it like its justice. And like I'm not trying to compare it to like a Pixar or even like a DreamWorks. I'm just like they made a Sonic movie, but it could have been. I found it boring at times.
I
Yeah,
agree.
it was,
Like
Go
it
ahead,
was
JD.
kind
Sorry.
of meh. It was kind of like meh, right? Like, even I feel like a lot of the humor is hit and miss. Like we'll get into Jim Carrey, and I love Jim Carrey, but like part of his comedic, like style is that he goes for 10 every time, and so it's like that's hit and miss. You get some gems, but you also get a lot of like misfires,
Yeah.
and but the other thing
you get
is,
a weird breastfeeding joke, which I like. That's another.
Oh yeah, I was
God.
I was breastfed. Cool. Yeah, or something, or like rat. I forget, but yeah, at the door with
Right.
Marsden.
yeah, there was some weird stuff there. Yeah, obviously the James Marsden character, I couldn't care less about. Very bland and forgettable. But I feel like I like what Ben Schwartz is doing, voicing the Sonic character. I thought he did a good job. I thought I liked him the most, kind of crafting the personality of Sonic. 'Cause I don't know if Sonic, I don't really know Sonic from the video games. Doesn't really seem to have much of a personality from just playing the video games, but like the old ones. But I like that the goofy, likable personality they crafted for him. I found it endearing.
Right.
I like the baseball
I
scene,
agree.
the voice work. It was vulnerable, but also funny and charming. And Ben Schwartz, we all know him as John Ralphio from Parks and Rec, but definitely some great voice work here. And so I can see the appeal of his character, and if they set this up for a sequel, they might do some franchise work here, and I feel like there should be more of a focus off the strength of his work crafting this character. Although of course it will definitely give more time to Jim Carrey's Dr.
course.
Robotnik character. But he was the most consistently, solidly good thing about the movie.
I agree.
I agree.
I think like so a lot of I remember walking out of this movie in the theaters a year ago with the just blind prejudice of like, who was this made for? I don't understand it.
Right,
And
that's my question.
but then you know what? I still have that question, but I come to a new thought as well as I watched it last night, because I then walked away again. I basically went to bed after the last 5 minutes because I was just like, I can't keep watching this. And I kept thinking to myself, well, again, I don't know who this is made for. And after reading a couple articles where they like go into like, no, there actually were like a massive amount of Easter eggs between the echidnas actually coming in, which happens like at the beginning. They're trying to kidnap Sonic and Longclaw, and a couple of other homages to the fan base. Perhaps there is a lot to give to the fan base, to which I sort of relented a little bit. And Keith, to echo you, I sort of got out of my personal grumpy old man costume and realized, like, no, actually, yeah, I think for like a young Sonic fan base, there was quite a lot to have fun with and enjoy. And I'm looking at it from like the wrong, like, not rose-colored glasses, just, I don't know, bad colored glasses. I don't know the color.
Shit-colored glasses.
Shit, that's it. They're covered in poop. But then I had another thought. I was going through this, like, okay, fine. There was a lot to enjoy about this movie, and Jim Carrey did a great job. Ben Schwartz, I think, is a great voice for Sonic. I'll even give James Marsden credit where, he plays a good straight character. Having said all of that, why didn't you make more of the action of Sonic into this movie? I think that was my biggest takeaway was you tried too hard to create these new protagonists that were like, oh, we might have to go to San Francisco for you to be a police officer. What about staying in Green Hills, Montana? I don't care about any of this. In fact, I got to a point where we're watching these like pseudo-dramatic Hallmark moments, and I kept thinking to myself, where is my hedgehog? I want to see him going fast. I want to see him hitting stuff. Just make more of that the whole time. And not to skip too far ahead, but the ending between him and Robotnik, I was like, you could have made this the whole movie. Like an hour and 40 of this, and it would have been like amazing. Like we would have had a lot of fun. So I don't know. I still walk away with that question, but at least I feel like maybe I'm not so my superfluous anger is assuaged a little bit by like, all right, there were attempts to make this for I guess everybody, but I don't know if that really worked.
This wasn't I do think that the people who made this gave a shit. Like I'm not getting any half-ass. Like I do think they added in. And I've read that they added in like the Easter eggs to I'm kind of curious how kids feel about it, and I'm kind of like I would love to do like that documentary 10 years after, like how do you feel about it now?
We should do Billy Eichner style on the street, like and only talk to like kids.
Me,
how do you feel about Sonic the Hedgehog?
For $5, how do you feel about Sonic the Hedgehog?
All right, another impression coming in. But I don't know. That we'll work on that.
First guest stars right here.
I'm very curious. This reminds me of, for 90s kids, Small Soldiers. Like this is one of those kind of movies. Movies that I could see a kid loving this, and then when they grow up, they like there are some movies that stick with you, and others that you go, it's of its time. Sonic's doing the floss. I'm not mad at that.
Right,
it's just, it's of its time.
Yeah,
I'm just.
That's true. The Small Soldiers.
It made money. It made a lot of money.
The Small Soldiers thing is an interesting point because it's kind of like, okay, there are people who enjoy this when it's released, but it's not necessarily a classic by any means.
I remember showing it to you, JJ, and you basically, because it came on Netflix one day, and I was like, "This is a great movie. I love this movie." And you're like, "I didn't see this," and you're like, at the end, it's just like, we're no longer roommates. I think that's what you said. I think that's what you said to me.
You terminated the lease that night, I think.
I made a run for the hills. I was like, I'm aware of Small Soldiers. I never saw it. And then Keith, you showed it to me because you liked it as a kid. And I was like, what the hell is this? But that's a discussion for another podcast episode. But with this, I can see people really enjoying it in the moment.
Yeah.
It has the cadence of like a family's night out, like we're going to see the Sonic movie tonight, and you go out and you have I guess the fun time together as a family. Like it has its moments that are kind of funny. I do think though you're right that with the lack of Sonic action, they have like I don't know, maybe only a less than a handful of action set pieces with Sonic battling like Dr. Robotnik and his gadgets, like 3 or 4. And it seemed like this movie was almost too short. Not that I'm begging for a super long Sonic movie, but almost to me, I'm like, I feel like there should have been one more action scene with Sonic battling out, right? It seemed like it was like, that's it. Like when it's the climax and they defeat Robotnik, I'm like, oh, that's all we're going to get in this movie?
Or at the very least, like, have one more, like try to keep it the same length, have another battle scene with Dr. Robotnik, and eliminate these unnecessary human characters with their personal developments and plot lines. Control X replace with Tails, or I'm trying to think of a third, Knuckles. I literally any other member of the Sonic.
You're not going to see
mythos.
anyone. Those are the only three you're going to see in these movies. Maybe
I don't know any
Shadow.
other ones.
What's
You're not going
what's the
to
bunny's
see,
name? There's a rabbit. Shadow will get
You're
named.
not going to see her.
No,
You're
come
not
on.
gonna
We got to
see-
include
you're-
all the group, even
you're
if I
not
don't know
gonna-
their
I played-
name. It doesn't
We will
matter.
You're not going to
Protest.
see a crocodile or a chameleon. You're not going to see any of these.
Wasn't
people.
wasn't the
sorry,
crocodile
Sonic
only in
fans.
Chaos something? Chaos X?
I played Sonic Heroes. It confused the
Sonic
hell out
Heroes,
of me, and I
yeah.
got to
Hey,
know
by the
all
way,
these
Sonic
characters.
fans, don't at these guys. Don't at them for my lack of knowledge
No,
of this. Okay.
at me. I have no social media. At me.
at Keith St. Lawrence, you'll get all the responses
at
you need.
me. You'll get a doctor.
Yeah.
Careful
Look,
what you
I
wish
tried my
for,
best,
man.
guys, but I just, but no, I do think that, yeah, I just feel like, because like, we get nothing else besides Sonic, and it's like, okay, to echo your point, JJ, like thinking about like how a kid was, because I'm getting it from like when I was a kid in the 90s, and like I rented Sonic and Knuckles so many times at my local video store in central New Jersey that like the thing was running threadbare. Like every week I'd rent it. And for kids today who have like probably a litany of other like Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventures 2, Sonic 06, whatever they're playing. Sorry if they're playing Sonic 06. But like they there's so much to play with, whether you're doing the mythos of the Chaos Emeralds or like other stories. I don't understand why you didn't try to play in that little sandbox a little bit. You don't have to do the story perfectly, of course, because we understand this, you're trying to implement it into a movie. But you just made up this like, okay, so Sonic's alone, he's from a different universe. This new character, Longclaw, which I didn't find it at all in the original mythos. They incorporated that character in a new video game, but like not until after the movie came out. So where are you coming with this? Like the coolest part, before I just really quick, coolest part was they included the Echidna army that was going to take in Sonic. So there was a little bit of a tip of the hat there, but and again, I'm not like really big on the Sonic mythos, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like there was a lot else included.
But that whole opening sequence, I was totally bewildered. Like, what the heck is going on with this? Like, oh, this is my origin story as Sonic. I grew up in this world that looks like the video game with, the hills that are like a loop-de-loop, and he does the rolls around and stuff. And within like 2 minutes, it's like, this is my world. This owl woman has raised me. Here's an army attacking us. She's killed and I escaped to Earth. And I'm like, what was that? I am like, that seems so rushed, and I'm so confused all of a sudden, and they don't really even touch on that before. I don't even think you needed any of that. You could have just had Sonic being like, I'm in this world, and a brief little gloss over, but they have this sequence in the beginning that totally throws me, pun intended, I guess, for a loop. And I'm like, what was that? It was like, why even bother having that if you're gonna rush through it in the span of 2 minutes?
I don't know. It's so much to take in at once.
So, I know what you're thinking. Why is that incredibly handsome hedgehog being chased by a madman with a mustache from the Civil War? Well, to be honest, it feels like I've been running my whole life. Is this too much? Am I going too fast? It's kind of what I do. You know what? Let's back up.
I'm surprised that they opened up the movie with a like. So you want to know how I got here?
I don't.
Yes.
I just, however you get
like
there,
that,
I accept. I don't care. You're
like,
here.
I was just like, I'm like, did this movie really need a like? Why do you want to know I'm running? Like, so you want to know why I'm running? From
Oh
this crazy
yes,
mustache
that
guy?
old thing. We actually talked about another movie recently, The Butterfly Effect, in which like you have a scene from the end in the beginning, and it's like let's cut to the beginning
I
of the
bet
movie.
you're wondering how I got here. Yeah.
Let's
Exactly.
Let's retrace our steps and get there.
Okay,
I'm like, what does that add to a
that old
movie
chestnut.
to show a scene from the end in the beginning just to say let's retrace our steps? Like in any movie, I assume that we're going to escalate and get to a part where things get intense and climaxes. You don't need to like have these sort of things in the beginning. Just like, how did we get here? Like, I'm already sitting here in the movie theater. Like,
I was more angry because in that little scene, he says something along the lines of, I bet you're wondering why I'm being chased by a guy with a mustache from the Civil War. I'm more surprised that Sonic knows what the Civil War was. He literally didn't know what the word bucket list was, but he understood the American Civil War. He lived in a hole.
Well, he taught himself, right?
Yeah,
he
yeah.
got his GED.
You know what's fun? Yeah, unfortunately, the books on the Civil War, more often than not, if you oh God, what's his name? Who does the documentaries?
Ken Burns.
Ken Burns' Civil War. At no point does he ever say the phrase bucket list. So you just know you're not going to learn it. I mean, I'm sorry if it's not coming out of Burns' mouth, from the mouth of Burns.
Ken Burns is Sonic.
Burns is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic. I think one critic said this is basically kind of in the vein of like Alvin and the Chipmunks and Yogi Bear, and like whether you like the movie or not, you have to admit it kind of falls in this line of this animated character, 3D eyes
in a human world.
Regular,
yeah,
in the human world meets a regular human guy, and they become. I've never actually seen Yogi Bear or Alvin and the Chipmunks, but I bet it follows along the lines of that.
I'll take that critic's word for that. But in that respect, that would make this movie very outdated, because that was, I guess, a trend in the early 2010s to have some of these adaptations of old cartoons 3D animated in a human world for some reason. Like, why not just why does it have to be in the context of a modern human world? Why not just have a Yogi Bear movie in the context that we know him in anyway, in the park with the ranger and Boo Boo? Why does he have to be in like a modern world where people are being like, I guess sassy with him or something? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Outdated, but flip it. Like, it actually, 93% is like the gold standard now of these type of movies.
I will never watch those Alvin and Chipmunk movies or whatever. I'm sure this is better than those just based on the snippets I've seen. Chipwrecked.
Chipwrecked, baby.
Chipwrecked.
Honestly, the best thing David Cross ever did. I stand by that. I mean, Mr. Show is fine, but Arrested Development, but I mean, Chipmunk.
Chipwrecked has, that
Chipwrecked paid for a summer home, man. Baby.
Arrested Development has nothing on Chipwrecked.
He really enjoyed being on that film.
Listen, I'm not saying those movies aren't fun. I'm not like, a job. It's a fun job to do.
A paycheck is a paycheck. I totally understand.
Yes,
understand that.
Absolutely. It's just, I don't know. It's funny too, because I wonder if this is in its own category as well, because whereas like Yogi Bear and Alvin and the Chipmunks had their own kind of format, and some of them even had, I don't know about Yogi Bear, but like Alvin and Chipmunks probably had like an animated movie or two beforehand. I don't really know the Chipmunkiverse.
They did.
They had some, I think, straight to TV.
Oh yeah,
Cartoon
They
Network
met the
movies.
Wolfman.
Of course, some real Laurel and Hardy stuff.
Yeah, they were like Laurel and Hardy or something.
They got girlfriends.
And now,
I think.
They were like Albin Costello. They were meeting all these classic movie monsters. I don't know. That was like a bygone era.
Alvin was in the Beat It music video. They kind of like imposed him into that.
Wait, was he?
Video. Yes, yeah. No, I remember like when they were advertised in the beginning of those VHS tapes, they would advertise other Alvin and the Chipmunk stuff, and they're like, and here he is with Michael Jackson.
Oh,
and
yes,
they see him dancing on
really
top
cool
of a pool table.
Right.
I don't know why. Because
crossover, yeah, kids. I mean, listen.
Crossover.
You know what other movie falls into this category? I just remembered those Smurf movies with Neil Patrick Harris.
I didn't see those at all. No.
I didn't see them, but I just remembered them.
Well, it's funny because it's like it's revisiting. It's trying to put life, and we're seeing it now with the Tom and Jerry film. It's trying to put life into a kind of dead franchise. I mean, let's face it. I have not seen a bit of like Smurfs franchise merchandise in 20 years. I haven't seen anything Yogi Berra in 20 years. I almost said Yogi Berra. I haven't seen anything Yogi Berra. Where's he now?
Either. Not from neither of them. But I also, what's funny? Because those franchises, these are like old cartoon franchises that had aired on Cartoon Network during like, I don't know, daytime, whatever, at some point. And Cartoon Network stopped airing those, and then I think they were airing on that more obscure cable channel Boomerang for some time. And so
I remember Boomerang. Yeah,
kids were like not even aware of some of these cartoons by the time they were older. Like I think when we were kids, we had heard of these cartoons because they were on at some point during the day.
Yes,
but I didn't really watch them. I'd heard of them, and then by the time like we're in college and little kids are watching TV, those shows are not being aired anymore. So you're right. Then they make these movies to try to make people aware of these old franchises, and they don't stick. Like no one's going back to these movies.
Counterpoint, Dan. I do agree with like 90% of like what most of you guys are saying, but like hasn't there is like a few that are able to kind of reinvent themselves each. I mean, Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo has kind of reinvented themselves. Like they have stayed modern
Well,
throughout
there's
the
been
years.
many Scooby-Doo incarnations over the years. I even remember in the late 2000s, there was like a Scooby-Doo series that had like a very like, I don't know, 2000s emo rock sort of intro, like, what's a Scooby-Doo? We're coming after you.
Was that wait? That wasn't Zombie Island, was it?
Well, that
No,
was
th-
like early 2000s, but like they tried making.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They tried
yeah.
modernizing it, that kind of thing. There's been
Right,
like tons
right.
of tons of like revivals of that series.
And
Yeah.
they're now doing like Elizabeth Banks. Elizabeth Banks is going to be playing a older Bam Bam in a they're
Okay.
doing an older Flintstones.
Okay. Yabba dabba do.
Look, I'm not saying Kung Fu-y, like, or Adam Ant gets to like live the.
Yeah. I can
or-
do Droopy Dog. That's like the only impression I can do. I really like this movie.
These are all like Hanna-Barbera franchises.
Well, they're all older.
Yeah, we're all
talking.
talking. We're talking about Hanna Barbera. We're talking a lot about Hanna Barbera.
They're all impressions of older actors. Even how dare you? Even
We're
Felix the
doing the
Cat.
full Casey Kasem lineup. Mike
Thanks,
Zoinks. Why was
and
Casey
now Mel
Kasem?
Blanc.
Wow, and Mel, yeah, the man of 1,000 voices. Why can't we get him on Curse Impressions? Because he's famously dead.
And this is a video game movie.
Well, and that's a point I was about to make, was that like, we're making a lot of like cartoon references, but what's interesting is that like, very much to your point, Keith, like when a TV show, much like a video game, stays in the zeitgeist by continuing on the series in a fashion, not unlike Pokemon, not unlike Super Mario Brothers, it kind of continues to stay popular, and Sonic has done that through both hell or high water of its own video games, which,
Yeah.
before people get mad at me on the podcast, I haven't played a Sonic video game in roughly like 20 years plus, but I have done like, I have watched some, playthroughs, and obviously there's been like a lot of problems, but the community still stays very strong with Sonic, and the lore continues to grow as well. Like it's still like very big for a lot of people, even if they get very angry at the video games. So yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. So I don't think the problem is that Sonic remains like something that people can't enjoy. Like I bet there's plenty that like kids can learn about, the games and like play them. But I think my biggest problem is that this movie does nothing to talk about that at all. Like there's plenty of stuff. There's so much you can add to this goddamn movie. And you made we're in Green Hills, Montana, and this police officer is going to move to San Francisco to be a cop. Why?
Yeah, who
Why?
cares? Why not just have the movie about Sonic take place in Sonic's world from the video games, and just have a story about like Sonic and his other video game character friends?
Yes.
And just do that. Why does this and like again like all those other movies we just mentioned have to take place in the context of a modern human world, and all these characters being like, we're what's going on here? We have to meet up with a confused straight man who is like going to point out like how outdated we are.
Yes.
And then
Isn't that the successful form? I mean, yeah, isn't that the successful?
Is it a successful formula?
Why am I the devil's advocate for this movie? I'm not, and I'm
You're
trying
just
not to
the
be.
devil,
But like,
Keith. You're
Look,
just
Adam
the devil.
Pally. Adam Pally plays the
No.
dumb cop friend in this movie.
he was great. I actually thought.
Why couldn't he
like,
have been played by the character Rotor Wallace, which a lot of people will know? And I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. He's a walrus character from the Sonic the Hedgehog book series, and he's goofy and he's a walrus, and it would have been fun.
Wow, that's
Isn't that a
deep
tough?
cut.
I mean,
I looked it up because I forgot his name.
I'm impressed.
Isn't that like, hey, spoiler alert, like Knuckles and obviously Tails are going to be in the sequel. Voice cast.
Spoiler
unknown.
alert: Tails is in the sequel.
And Dr. Robotnik has achieved his final form. This is kind of like The Force Awakens, and allow me to go on. Like, it's very safe. It's a very safe. We don't know what to do with the Sonic franchise, so we gotta play the formula.
I see. So maybe from like the studio's perspective, we have to make a very like by the numbers movie that is like going to please people, crowd pleaser movie,
Yes.
and like basically a setup for things to come. Maybe down the line we might take some chances, but for now, let's just do what we know works. and
For
fine.
$85 to $90 million, yes, that's a big definite
to
yes.
make money back and to not run any risks, because we can't rely on the Sonic community to make that money back.
They were willing to like push back the release date and spend a lot more money to redesign the Sonic character.
Which in hindsight,
I have a theory about that.
Okay, go ahead, Keith. Go ahead.
I think it paid off.
No, I have a theory about that.
I'm gonna crack open another beer while you hold on.
Yeah, I'm listening, Keith. I've got a drink in hand. You go ahead.
I'm a skeptic person, and that theory, or not that. We all saw the first trailer and we all went like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, we couldn't believe what we saw.
I was like, "Wow!"
And there was this giant fan backlash, and the studio said, "All right, we're gonna redesign the character to make him look like actual Sonic." I think that was all intended. I think
what
it would be.
Just because if you the first scene kind of made me question that, because was the kid Sonic also humanized, and was the Echidnas, who also looked like Sonic, they had the big eyes, were they also like humanized? Everyone kind of, and also, what did Tails look like? Was Tails also humanized?
It's just the most
You want to know what sparked? This theory?
What?
I was told for like 2 weeks that Elon Musk was the worst. Like that I should like. Granted, Elon Musk is going to host SNL tomorrow. We're recording this like the day before. I'm still not going to watch. I don't have cable.
Remember that timestamp, that guys, so you'll know in history where this was.
I'm told that this this is
date
a
us,
controversial.
God.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm told it's going to air in May. I'm told that this is a controversial episode, and the cast is revolting. Revolting. And I said to myself, I'm like, I feel like Lauren planned all this. Like, put out your controversial, and now Michael Che and Pete Davidson are like, and everyone's now coming out and like, oh, he's a cool guy. This is all planned to get you to watch the episode, and the timing of that.
Okay, so
Sonic
the moral of your analogy,
it gave people the illusion that they did something. And if you give that, you're watching the movie.
I mean,
so your theory is that they purposely designed a bad-looking Sonic for the trailer just so fans would get upset, just so they could say, we'll redesign him because we want to listen to what our fans have to say, and then they push back, quote unquote, the release date, which was a fake release date, to what the actual release date always was planned to be, with the design of Sonic, which they always had in mind. And what we saw in the initial trailer was just a hoax, because they wanted to manipulate us into thinking that they really care about what the fans think. That is your theory.
I mean,
yes. What did Tails look like before, and what did the kid Sonic look like? I'm
looking at these photos of old Sonic.
I'm wearing a tinfoil hat now.
If Keith's Area 51 theory proves correct, then the greatest trick, and then this is the greatest trick the devil ever played, and by the devil I mean Sega, because you got to look at these fucking photos. It is the most unsettling. I forgot how unsettling this goddamn character
Don't get me wrong.
Awful.
I do think to myself,
he looks like he's trying to seduce James Marsden in one half of these photos.
Who in their right mind thought like this is what the Sonic character should look like?
He's got human teeth. He's got full ass human teeth.
Dan, you asked who this movie was for. Kids are not on Twitter. They don't care. They're gonna see a Sonic movie regardless what he looks like. They don't even know. They don't even watch really trailers unless it's on TV or whatever.
Or like in the movie theaters.
Giant, like men our age.
Men of a certain age, starring Ray Romano.
Men of a certain age. Ray Romano and Andre Prower. They complained.
Deborah, I don't like this movie. This movie's off.
Deborah, come look a little. Get rid of the teeth.
Get rid of the teeth in the eyes, Deborah. He's just blaming Deborah.
Hey, Ray, I kind of like it.
Ray, this is a terrible movie. I'm your brother. I don't like this movie, Raymond.
He looked awful. He looked awful.
We know.
So,
I agree 100. He's got his mouth is unsettling.
It's the illusion. Like that's how you get like.
You know what's so funny too?
If you complained about Sonic, you're gonna go see the movie to see how they changed it.
Well, they know because they released a trailer afterwards showing the, I guess, quote unquote revised version of the Sonic character. It's
And
like, oh,
you
looks,
won. You're gonna see the movie.
looks a
Your
lot
voice
better.
was heard. I'm going to go see the movie. This
I
movie
mean, I
made
didn't.
money,
I didn't
JJ.
see it in the theater.
I
still
know,
was
but you
like,
didn't complain.
I'm not.
You don't give a shit.
I mean, I was still unsettled by how he looked initially. I remember actually seeing the initial trailer in the movie theater. I don't even remember for what movie I was there to see, but they had the trailer, the original trailer with the bad design. And the first time you see that bad design Sonic the scene is when James Marsden first discovers him and they scream at each other. So when you first see the Sonic character, it's like the flashlight is on him and he's screaming like, ah! And the whole audience screamed back in horror.
Oh my God.
"Ah!"
I remember I went to something and I remember there just being like like the whole audience was just like, to quote one of our friends, just went,
Disgusted.
oh, yuck. Like literally
Yeah,
went like
they
that.
were
yeah.
totally like put
Yeah.
off by that. So that was kind of funny.
I just looked
But-
up, oh, sorry, go ahead.
It was like the same reaction to like the Cats trailer, basically. It's like, whoa, burn this. This looks terrible.
God, that was, I mean, if there was a movie made for perverts, myself
Well,
included.
they had buttholes in that. They had.
Well,
like,
no,
they
they took out
They
the buttholes.
didn't have the
Keith.
buttholes.
They
I
took
still
out the
haven't seen
buttholes.
Cats, but they took out. But
So no one read any of my letters.
But look at what you're saying though. They took out the buttholes. Like they were originally going to be in the movie.
I'm
Right.
looking at I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate and say I'm looking at what might be an original Tails development before the eye changes and all that, like the super realistic look, like looking like humans. And you guys are going to think this is crazy, but Tails kind of tracks a little bit more. I mean, yes, he looks more human, so it's creepy, but he's also like more fox-like because Tails is a fox, right?
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
so.
So like clearly, I think in general people can agree that Tails looks a little bit more like the anthropomorphized creature he's supposed to be versus Sonic, who looks really not much like a hedgehog besides having
Nothing
spikes
like a
on his back.
hedgehog at
Yeah,
all.
not really. So like Tails with the smaller eyes and more realistic fur and everything that makes us really uncomfortable in our seats, looks a little bit more like a cute cartoon character than Sonic, who just at this point looks like if you put Ben Schwartz in like Sonic furry costume. And it's just, yeah, it definitely is a little, yeah. I
You
can
know
see
what,
where they were
though?
trying to go with this.
Didn't work out on Earth, but that's okay. You're going to a safe world. A nice, safe world full of mushrooms. Mushrooms that'll be your only friends. That sounds awful. I can't do this. You have to do it. There's no other option. All right.
SFPD! Pending background check. Pause in the air!
Meow?
For Sonic's powers, he's like super fast.
He's got to go fast.
Basically, I guess at this point, the only way to portray super fast powers in a movie is to just have everything else be super slow. And he's in normal speed in comparison to everything slow around him, right? 'Cause
You're Quicksilver.
He's doing the Quicksilver, the Flash, like it's
He
it's
reads
all
Flash
that.
comics.
Yeah, well, yeah, which I thought was a
Oh,
cute
yeah.
reference. But at the same time, I'm thinking we've gotten this before, right? Like we already got this from Quicksilver and now the Flash. Because I unfortunately wasted 4 hours watching the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League, and I saw that, and I'm thinking to myself, like, is this the only way? This is just the law. The law is if a character has super speed, we have to show it by doing it in slow-mo, and that's the only way you can do super speed now. That's it. That's the law. I'm like, well, I'm kind of tired of this now. Because I think it's a cool power, but could someone think of something else to do?
Yeah, because especially in this movie, it doesn't seem to be congruent throughout the whole thing. Like, there will be things that move constantly, but nobody's facial expressions. Like, there are two scenes where we see a primary movement of Sonic, quote unquote, going fast, as he loves to say in his series. One is at the Piston Bar, and the other is right before Dr. Robotnik tries to obliterate him in San Francisco with all the bombs. And at both times, there's like the slowest amount of movement. But if you notice, like none of the projectiles move, and the same thing at the Piston Bar where none of the humans move, but there's just like the slightest amount of movement. So not to get all like, I don't know, weirdly scientific about it, but it's not even like, it doesn't even work in the same way.
They're not thinking about it, basically.
No, not really. They're just like, you got to just go slow because you're going fast. It's like that's the only rubric that matters. Everything else has got to go slow because you're going fast. That's it.
Right, which I'm just kind of tired of at this point.
Were you expecting it?
I was like,
Were you
okay.
expecting it with this movie?
I assumed that's what they were going to do.
I think so. Yeah, I definitely thought he was. I thought he was going to do the trope of like, well, I'm so quick that I can move stuff while people are like literally standing still. The first thing that comes to mind is literally like the Futurama joke where Fry drinks like 100 cups of coffee and he can like move at super speed. Like
I
that's.
didn't have a problem with the bar.
I
didn't have a problem with the bar scene.
I mean, it was fine.
Expected it. It's fine for kids.
It's funny. It's a great Corona ad. If you saw like there's a Corona Light ad in it real quick.
yeah, another product placement.
It was beautiful.
I just couldn't believe though that no one in that bar before it breaks out into a brawl, they're all just accepting of this like little blue creature. Right? They're all like, "Oh, what is that? A Halloween costume?"
Dr. Robotnik has 5 PhDs and screamed at the top of his lungs at this bar. Not to say that it's about intelligence, but like he's probably seen some crazy shit. I mean to say, and he freaked out. Meanwhile, at the Piston Bar, like all he has to do is put on sunglasses and a big shirt, and everyone's just like, "No, he's just shorter than other people." What are you talking about?
And he's wearing a costume and a mask. Which is a very old Hollywood cliche when you have some sort of non-human anthropomorphic creature.
Is he wearing a mask? Yeah, exactly.
What? Like, cool costume. Oh, and I did think that was funny, though, when Dr. Robotnik first sees the Sonic character, he likes... I mean, I thought he had the most normal reaction to seeing this creature than anyone else in the movie, which was, holy fucking shit. Like, what is this thing? Who would ever expect, like, to see such a thing? Which I do want to get into like Jim Carrey here because listen,
sure.
I love Jim Carrey and I totally can see how they're just letting him do free range here. I mean, I like I said, not everything in this movie works for him. He does some things that did get some genuine laughs, and a lot of things that were like misfires. But that's just how a lot of comedic actors are directed nowadays. I feel like the last several years, it's like you get a comedic actor and the director is like, just do your thing, and you'll just assume it's funny based on what you're doing, and they're not given more direction. So he was just kind of let loose, and I guess you think to yourself, it's Jim Carrey, like just let him do his thing. But you need something a little more like specific for him to do. Like the whole scene where he's like dancing around and like I had like no idea what was going on. Like
that was weird. Doing? Yeah, that felt a little bit like we're just promoting this song, really. Like that's just what we're getting down here.
Well, that was actually his suggestion.
The dance scene.
See, like I didn't get it. Like that didn't add anything.
The dance scene.
I mean, I could see kids laughing at it.
I thought it was funny at the end when he's like, "Of course I would love a latte. I love how you make them." Like that was
really funny. Yeah, because it was
but like see, it's like little moments. Little moments to me work the best, and these big overarching moments of him doing these huge grand physical gestures that didn't work as much because it's like it's trying too hard.
But you know what? It's funny is that like I agree that like the grand gestures were a little much, and it even got to a point where like they were incredibly grating. But I thought about it, and like, well, I would not include this in like the Jim Carrey list of like super scenes you have to watch by any stretch of the imagination. And there definitely was like a Grinch vibe with this character. Like it definitely felt like it's very much echoing. Even some scenes, like little spoiler alert, at there's like one shot in the Mushroom Planet with Dr. Robotnik that I think is a perfect like silhouette of the Grinch from one of like the posters. But that's a theory. I
felt like
of
a
mine.
Dr. Seuss type of world. So that's a good correlation.
It's very Dr. Seussian, but I just want to say like it's one of those things where while I wouldn't put this in the high list of like Jim Carrey films, Jim Carrey did a fantastic job because he made you hate this character, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. He is grating. He's frustrating. He at times is like really annoying, like at a point, like to the point where you almost can't stand this character. But I think that's how kids are, both kids and adults, how we're supposed to feel. It's Dr. Robotnik. He's not supposed to be a forgiving character in the series. He's just a dick who wants to steal Sonic and get the Chaos Emeralds or steal Sonic himself. But regardless, you're meant to hate him, and I think he does a good job of it.
Right, he's cartoonish, right? That's the character. He does. I mean, if anyone could be cartoonish, it's Jim Carrey. And I think he knows what he's doing. I think he knows what kind of movies, and he's playing to the kind of villain that he knows should be in a movie for kids.
Yes.
He's very much like a young children's movie kind of villain. So he definitely does a good job with that. I'm just saying that you want Jim Carrey to be funny, and he's like your biggest draw in terms of bringing people in. And I love Jim Carrey, and I was looking forward to seeing him in this. But again, you can't just rely on him just doing his Jim Carrey thing constantly.
No, yeah. There's got to be a little bit more to it, and there was a little bit of a shallowness to the. But I also don't know. It also made me think like, how much do I want to explore like this character? Again, I kind of go back to like how much.
I don't need a developed Dr. Robotnik.
I don't want to. Yeah. I mean,
aren't you kind of constrained though? I'm watching this going like, I'm like happy kids can see when like what I saw in Jim Carrey when I was their age.
Yeah.
It's like, he is kind of like, but I also felt like he's kind of constrained. Like a couple of weeks ago, I just put on The Mask for some reason, and I'm like,
well, because you really like Cuban Pete the song.
I do, and I want to learn it for karaoke. The moves and all. Pete. I know, I feel like that's I don't know if I said it before on the podcast or not, but I feel like that's Jim Carrey's like Robin Williams' Genie. Like it's kind of like his it.
It totally is.
His
yeah,
star.
that's
like
I agree.
He had Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber come out the same year, and I don't want to be if Jim Carrey is listening at any point in time, I don't want to say you can never go home again, but I'm like, I don't think having. I read that Jeff Fowler, who never really directed a movie before, and he did an Oscar-nominated animated short a few years ago, and he was given Sonic. And as a first-time director, I don't know how I would direct Jim Carrey. I would just be like, do Jim Carrey. I think Jim Carrey needed some direction. I don't know. Like, I think Ron Howard did. Like, also, if Ron Howard is ever listening, I'm curious if he ever how was his direction with Jim Carrey on The Grinch? Because that was a very contained, but also like Jim Carrey-esque performance. I don't know. I liked it for the most part, but I found him annoying sometimes.
Ron, Jim, if you're listening, if you wouldn't mind adding Keith St. Lawrence on Twitter and just letting us know what your opinions are, how you guys got to your conclusions artistically, that would make a huge difference to us. We really
Jim
appreciate
Carrey,
that.
if I ever
I
found
did
out
this a lot during the podcast
that for some reason, if I find out that for some reason we were blessed enough that Jim Carrey listened to this, I could immediately just go straight to heaven. I would die a happy man because Jim Carrey is the reason why he's a huge influence on my personality because I was obsessed with his movies as a kid, particularly
of course.
The Mask. He's why I wanted to be funny. He is why I want I can't speak enough to how much I idolized him as a kid. So I've always have like in Jim Carrey's defense, no matter what. But yeah, like any comedic actor, he needs direction. But I mean, I always love how he puts 1,000,000% into everything. And so
I'll give him that.
Even if like, his character can be a little grating or too much or like too broad, the fact is like he is going for it every single time.
110%.
I love that. And effort and enthusiasm could definitely lift a movie. I've said that before. He's going for it. So if you have whatever project you're on, if you sign on for something and maybe you think to yourself, well, I don't know if this is actually that good. I don't know if I'm enthusiastic about it. Like, just go for it because you can maybe turn something mediocre into something good or great just by your sheer, what you bring to the table. And he definitely does a lot. So I do think he is an asset to the film at the end of the day. Even if I don't love everything he does, I think that he is great in the part, and I would be interested in seeing what else he does.
Yeah, you can only do, I think a part of it too is that you can look at it from direction. You can look at it. Also, I've always been a person who looks at it from plot, structure, and dialogue. You can only do so much with what you have while also still following the structure of the plot and the story as it's already been written. And this just goes back to how I feel about like the just great unnecessary moments of just like worrying about these like developed human creatures that like I just want to go back to my big blue boy. Yeah. Right. Like if you made it so that like, I don't know, to the point where the only people we have on screen is Dr. Robotnik, played by James Carrey, as I like to call him from his In Living Color days, and Sonic the Hedgehog, done by Ben Schwartz. That, I mean, you'd still have a great movie, in my opinion. I mean, you really still, or at least a good movie. You'd still have like the chasing around in live action and CGI. I just, you know, and it's funny because we mentioned that whole weird breast milk joke, and it's like I feel like those were such stiff moments, and I'm not blaming Jim Carrey or James Marsden for it, who did a fine enough job as a straight character. It's just it's just a situation of like there's nothing really to care about. I don't know how else to say it. It's just like this is a side plot.
I agree. The James Marsden stuff, like, I don't really know or why his sister-in-law hates him so much. There was that whole thing that he has this sister-in-law who, even before he does anything wrong, the sister-in-law's like, divorce this man. Yeah. I hate him.
Divorce. She like spells it out in front of her child.
Seems like a perfectly fine guy.
He seems cool. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what their deal is.
If the sequel is just like James Marsden and Tika Sumpter in the beginning, and then it becomes the comic stylings of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles dealing with Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik. If enough people tell me it's good, I'll watch it. Enough people told me this was good, so I don't know what to believe.
I'll catch it eventually. Yeah. Why not?
Oh, I also think Jason Momoa would be a good Knuckles. I don't know why. I don't know.
Okay.
Like,
all right. Let's all put in our favorite Knuckles. So you say Jason Momoa. Boy, I should have.
I think he has that goofiness. I think he has that and he has that toughness.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I would say
Knuckles
him or
the
Dwayne
tough
the
one?
Rock Johnson.
Or Channing Tatum.
I
would put it. I would vouch for Channing Tatum.
You know what? I'm gonna go a little left field here. Chris Gethard as Knuckles, the Echidna. I just wanna hear Chris's voice play Knuckles.
He would make a good Tails.
Who is playing? I didn't see the IMDb. Who's playing
I
Tails?
don't think they're using the Tails from this movie. I think they're gonna use the celebrities.
Yeah, I looked it up.
And I don't know who voiced Tails. I much respect.
So I think we're gonna get the sequel next year, 2022, and who knows? We'll see.
But Jason Marsden, I thought that whole like, I didn't think he was that mistreated at the town. All he did was like, he's like, I'm just a babysitter to him. I didn't see any.
Everyone seems to like him. I think it's just a small town with nothing to do. That's his thing, right? It's a small town, and he dreams of going to a big city, San Francisco. Sure.
To be honest, I thought the movie was trying to hold him back from it, like reaching like a true potential. I was like, what is this movie trying to tell you? And then it's just like,
I had a theory that the actual so apparently the voice actor, just real quick, sorry, I just wanted to say credit to voice actor Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who did the voice for Tails in the movie Sonic the Hedgehog film. You guys can cut that out if you want. Okay, we'll
add that in.
Mystery solved.
So I wrote in all of these notes that the moral of the story is just never stop running. Because in the beginning of the film, it's just Sonic running away, obviously. And if you look at the map closely, when like he's looking at where he's going to go next, you can see that a couple of planets have been scratched out, meaning that Earth was not his first planet. Like he's literally been to like 4 or 5 other ones and totally like, things went bad, totally boned it. So like, point I'm saying is, guys, moral of the story, when you have a problem, run away and never stop running. Just run away. Don't worry about your connections. Don't worry about the anchors, social anchors of our lives. Just keep on running.
Well, I thought it was funny I really don't think Sonic needed James Marsden's help. but the movie wanted them to be.
Oh my
buddy.
God, that one scene where he made it to the Pacific in literally 2 seconds.
He
I wrote
ran
another
back.
thing I wrote was give him a map for Christ's sake. And like clearly Sonic can read a map, so if he does that, then he can get there in perfect. I don't know.
Just
and
tell
then
him to like follow the roads and look for the signs that say to San Francisco.
And-
But instead he makes one attempt and he runs into the ocean. It's like, yeah, I can't do this on my own. I'm
And
like, yeah, you
then-
could.
And then they get to San Francisco, and he's gonna run up and get the the rings real quick, get the rings from the bag real quick, and then he comes back and says, "No, the doors are locked." You ran from middle of nowhere, probably Montana or the Northwest somewhere,
Yeah, Montana, yeah.
to the fucking Pacific with no problems, and
In a
yet
second.
we're 2 blocks away, and you can't run up the building. That doesn't track.
I kind of like that Pacific Ocean joke. He runs and he's covered in a fish.
Got a big fish.
It reminds me of a SpongeBob joke when SpongeBob's the quickster. Like, want to see me run over to that rock?
Oh yeah. Want to see me do it again? Yeah.
I want to see that kind of speed where someone is just like, yeah, did it, done.
Yeah, I did it.
Like,
All right, I got it. Perfectly done.
Yeah, I don't need the slow mo. Oh, I had one more thought too about Jim Carrey. I thought there was this kind of like meta scene when the military guys are talking about bringing in Dr. Robotnik to figure out what's going on with this like electrical currents disturbance. Like, the colonel's like, there's only one man we could bring in for this, and the other guys are like, are you kidding me? He's crazy. We can't. And the military guy is like, he's a genius, but he's crazy. We have no choice. I feel like the casting for Jim Carrey went the exact same way, where they're like, there's only one guy who can play this part. One guy. You can't cast him. He's crazy.
But like
he's
that whole
brilliant.
that
but
whole
he's
scene,
our only choice.
That whole scene, JJ, was absolutely insane. Like he would say something like, "Do you remember when we did we stopped the I don't remember, the Iran terror scandal? No. Or how about that coup that happened in Azerbaijan? That's not a country, Azerbaijan. And it wouldn't be two things, Dr. Bogdan. That whole scene read like a weird Leslie Nielsen bit. Like that read like something that like if Leslie Nielsen
found that.
That was like
Yeah.
a miss. That was like out of place.
What it was trying to do like strange like Leslie Nielsen-esque comedy, and it was like, what are you guys trying to do here? Like, just get to the point.
Yeah. That was kind of like maybe more adult humor that didn't really hit. But that whole scene, I was just like, this is the conversation for casting Jim Carrey in the first place. They just like copied it down. Now they have this scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
Neil McDonough, who he played with the main army guy, he must have the easiest day. He probably worked one day, and he was listed
he's in 2 scenes.
Main in the credit.
Yeah, you were in the credits. Meanwhile, I don't even think Ben Schwartz got on the original poster, did he?
Well, what?
Yeah, see, Ben Schwartz is what helped make that movie. I do agree with you that the personality of Sonic was like.
That's
we
the
can
key
go through
thing.
the list of actors.
Like it's yeah, because we all
who they wanted.
Who else did they consider for the part?
Okay, Tom Holland, Josh Gad, Chris Pratt, Andy Samberg, Bill Hader, Will Forte, Jim Parsons, Charlie Day, Paul Rudd, and Adam Devine.
Okay, so
I feel
sorry, go
like
ahead.
I could have seen them.
Ben Schwartz is still the number one.
Ben
for me,
Schwartz
for the
is
voice
the
of
best
Sonic.
pick because Ben Schwartz has a youthful voice that is energetic and not so annoying that's bad for the audience, but annoying enough that annoys the characters, but is still enjoyable for the audience. Whereas, as much as I love Charlie Day from Always Sunny, I feel like he might have. First of all, I feel like his voice would have been too raspy for Sonic.
It would have been a little manicky.
It would have been Sonic on cocaine.
Keith, that's my podcast. Come on, man. Ben
Oh,
Schwartz.
sorry. I love impressions. I want to be a guest.
No, you will be.
Bazinga.
You both will be. So help me God.
Bazinga.
And oh my God, I love calling.
I do
that.
like Jim Parsons.
But
I don't see him as Sonic at all.
I love young
do like
Sheldon.
Jim Parsons.
No, I think Ben Schwartz was the best choice. Andy Samberg would have been interesting to listen to. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall and hear that like audition. And okay, Charlie Day works out, but only if we get the original Sonic with like the small eyes and the human teeth. And
If
it's
it's like
this,
a bug-
it's this nightmare version of
If it's like a bugged out,
like-
Sonic that looks more like the mascot for Honeycomb cereal, then by all means,
Yes,
Charlie Day.
that would have been
Yes,
so
yes.
good. Yeah, that if there can be like a super fan cut and we get the original Sonic who looks like a humanized nightmare mutation hedgehog and Charlie Day is the voice actor, that would be brilliant.
He's the Uncanny Valley version. But yeah, the other choices, I definitely don't think Chris Pratt
I don't
would
really
have
see
been
Bill
right for it.
Hader. I don't really see Chris
No.
Pratt.
I don't see Josh Gad.
Maybe
I don't
Tom
see-
Holland. I think maybe Tom Holland could have. He would not have been as
Yeah.
successful as Ben Schwartz in capturing that happy medium of like just annoying enough, but not too annoying. But he would have had that youthful tone to him. So yeah, I don't know. I think they went with the right guy. Ben Schwartz is perfect for it, and I would like
I
to
think
see
so too,
Ben
yeah.
Schwartz do more voice work. I don't know what other voice work he's done. If he's ever done stuff for like DreamWorks or something.
Why do I have to like? He's gonna be MODOK's son. He's also he's in DuckTales. The few
okay.
episodes that I've watched.
Nice.
He's I don't know these people. Huey, Dewey. He's one of Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Louie.
I
Oh
think
yes. He's
I
like
think
he's with he's one of the nephews of Scrooge McDuck, played by David
yeah,
Tennant.
he's the
Yeah.
the blue one.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
He's the
him,
blue
Bobby
one, but,
Moynihan, and
Danny Pudi.
Danny Pudi. Yes. Oh God,
Okay.
so funny.
but,
And Kate Micucci plays. Oh God, she's another
Paget
character.
Brewster plays Donald Duck's sister. I watched
Paul
enough
Tompkins in it
episodes.
as well.
Everyone's in it. Everyone we love is in this show.
Mm-hmm.
But they're coming out with Hulu is coming out with MODOK.
MODOK?
With Pat.
MODOK.
It's a for the Marvel fans. It's a Marvel villain. It's a goofy Marvel villain, and it's by the Robot Chicken people. But
Green?
he's also playing MODOK's son. Yeah,
Is Seth Green?
Pan Oswald's playing MODOK.
Ooh, okay. Now you've got my
I
attention.
The trailer
also-
looks fun.
I also
I'm
enjoy Patton
shamelessly
Oswalt's
plugging for
vocal work.
Hulu.
Yes, I love. Yes, his
I've been watching a lot of Hulu.
Happy was
lately.
very good. Was that what it was called on from Sci-Fi Network with what's his name? Chris Elliott.
Oh, Chris.
I only watched
yeah,
the
Chris-
first season,
yeah.
but it was great.
yeah, that was
Maloney.
really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed
With
that.
Christopher Maloney, who plays Elliot Stabler on.
Oh, I say Chris. Oh, okay.
You
Oopsies.
idiot!
I suck,
That's
guys.
it. You're out of here.
I'm out of here, guys. I'm done. Look,
You gotta run fast.
that's the whiskey talking, guys. I mix up Chris Maloney and Elliot Stabler all the time when I'm not watching him on Wet Hot American Summer, my favorite thing that he was in. Anyone else angry that Jim Carrey didn't gain the weight for the role of Dr. Robotnik?
I know this is a very skinny Dr.
Well, because he's
Robotnik.
called Dr.
What?
Eggman because of how he looks like an egg. And in the movie, they say it's because all of his robots look like eggs. And I'm like, that's not why they called you Dr. Eggman. Come on now.
I would like to see
Does
maybe
anyone
him.
have that shape?
Maybe if his character gets fat from eating tons of mushrooms, and then they put Jim Carrey in a fat suit. I would
didn't
love to
know
see
mu-
Jim Carrey in a fat suit.
I didn't know mushrooms caused like weight gain on that level. Like, how many mushrooms do you have to eat to really like ascertain, like too much
What
caloric
else?
intake?
What else is there to do on a mushroom plant?
You know what,
to do but eat
JJ?
mushrooms.
JJ, you got me. I mean,
Plus, I don't know.
Wait,
It's
so
a
the
made-up world.
mushrooms-
It can do. They
it
could
also
be like
these
super,
could be high
be super
caloric
fatty
mushrooms.
mushrooms. Yeah, why
Fatty
not?
mushrooms. Yeah.
I thought the mushrooms were a dig at Mario.
I thought like when they mentioned a
That sounds
Mario
like it, yeah.
planet, I thought he mentioned like, yeah. First of all, I thought they were digging at Mario, and I thought they were gonna be like, oh, he's gonna go to the Mario Kingdom, like the Mushroom Kingdom, and he's gonna hang out with Mario and Luigi.
They never said. They kept saying Mushroom Planet, but like just
Not
one
Mushroom
phrase.
Kingdom.
Yes, they should have said Mushroom Kingdom.
And they-
Licensing.
Well, did Nintendo acquire Sega, or is it under the same umbrella? Like, does Nintendo own the rights to both characters?
it up.
Where's my Mega Man movie?
Meh. What about the,
No, that could be very good. That could be very good. This is me doing John Mulaney again. This could be very
This is
good.
me doing John Mulaney.
I just wanted to push your buttons. I never played Mega Man, but I know a lot.
I don't know how we would do it, but like I used to watch the Mega Man and the Sonic cartoons. They used to be back to back. I don't even know what channel they were on, WB or something. But
So
I used to watch that old school shit.
Sega's owned by something called the Sega Sammy Corporation, which is a conglomerate of both the Sega Corporation and the Sammy Corporation, which is a developer and retailer of pachinko and pachi slot machines. So that's what I know.
Yes, the
That
answer
means
is yes.
nothing.
And I
to
gotta,
me.
and Keith, I wish you would get off my ass a little bit. I tried my best. All right, this is Wikipedia
No, I'm not
telling
saying.
me.
I'm
No,
We're
I just
paying
feel
you the
like
big
you're really
bucks here.
breathing down my neck on this one, and I'm just trying to tell you that that's all I know about Sega. All right,
Listen, Dan, we're gonna have a meeting after work about this. Okay, it's not working
guys, I tried my best.
out.
I don't know.
Maybe I could do Gilbert Gottfried. Maybe that's the way.
I'm Sonic the
What do I
Hedgehog.
do? What score do I give this? Like,
I
do
gotta
can
get
play
my
Knuckles?
rings back.
By the way, the rings were weird, but I'll allow it.
But I feel okay.
Sure.
So
You
that
said-
was one thing that I
I'll
was
allow
like,
it. I
I
get
first was critical about because I was like, wait a minute, rings don't create.
I was
portals.
critical about
but no,
it,
they
and then
do
I'm like,
create.
who
They
gives a
do create
shit?
portals in the games, though. I heard when you go. Yeah, they're actually.
I get it.
Sure.
From a screenwriter, it's just like, how do we get from the owl to James Marsden? I get it.
From the
Yeah.
Owl to Marsden, the life story of Keith St. Lawrence.
Are you in charge here?
Yes, I
Nope.
am.
Wrong. I'm in charge.
Is
Me.
Major
I'm in charge. Allow me to clarify. In a sequentially ranked hierarchy based on level of critical importance, the disparity between us is too vast to quantify. Agent Stone,
The doctor thinks you're basic.
Tell him his men report to me now. Blah, 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 blah.
Excuse me?
Listen, pal, I don't know if you realize who...
I'm sorry, Major. What was your name?
Benny. Nobody cares.
Okay, guys. So I think now we can get into our final thoughts and final scores for Sonic the Hedgehog. Start us off, Dan. Let's take us home. What are your last thoughts and scores?
Oh, at the end of the day, I realized that a lot of my feelings towards this movie, negative as they may be, really come from me just wanting the same sort of blind action that I sort of talked about in previous episodes with previous movies. If you're not going to write a heartfelt plot or dialogue, that's fine. Just give me something then. Give me action. Don't give me a hodgepodge. Don't give me a stew of all different things that don't work together. And I don't think any movie that I've seen or, been lucky enough to been a guest star on since Undivided Films is any proof of that better than Sonic the Hedgehog. It's like I don't need you to try super hard with making like Hallmarkian, Norman Rockwellian feelings of going to a big city to a small town, or whether or not I should leave the people that I love in order to fulfill dreams. Just give me Sonic running from Dr. Robotnik. That's all I want. That's all I need. And you know what? We talked a lot about lore and mythos today. That's not even important. I don't really even care about that. You can make it up as you go along, but I think it's, to me, more important to just keep up with the ramp up of action and watching him run. We're running around at the speed of sound, but what are we getting to, guys? Follow Me, Set Me Free to the end of this movie. I'm gonna give it 65%.
Okay.
I still had a good time at the theaters, and at the end of the day, spoiler alert, the last 30 minutes are a lot of fun to watch, but the fact that we had to sift through advertisements and advertisement again,
Olive Garden, Zillow.
Corona, Zillow, and then get these weird moments of him having these existential crises. Just stop. Get me my Blue Boy. Get me my Tails. Maybe include Knuckles. 65%. You almost got there. Follow Me, Set Me Free.
Okay, set free Dan. Hashtag that.
Hashtag that to Keith St. Lawrence, please.
All right.
What he said. In terms of a Sonic movie, it could have been. It doesn't reach its full potential as a Sonic movie, but I'm also thinking I could see a lot of kids enjoying this, and there is fun to be had. But this is one of those kids movies that when the kid grows up, or as they grow older, it's not one that sticks with them as like. It's amazing how even like Scooby Doo and Zombie Island still sticks with me. It's a good, well written story.
Yeah, that's a well done thing. If effort's put into it.
I hope they take chances with the sequel. I hope they go buck wild. And if enough people tell me that it's good, I'll give it a watch. But I'm going to give it a down the line 50.
Okay. Yeah, it was very a safe movie, and I can see what you guys are saying. It seems like it's maybe more concerned about down the line and creating this franchise and just making sure that the first thing is good enough to make money and warrant more sequels. And down, like what you said, all that hodgepodge stuff, like guy in a small town wanting to get out, blah, blah, blah. That's all very cliche. No one really cares for that. No one really connects to that. So, at least in a specific, it's too broad, right? So, that's not why we're going to the movie anyway. We're there to see Sonic. So, the sequel maybe will have potential to do better. This one as maybe just like a stepping stone. And maybe not the one that people will go back to if this franchise takes off from here. So we'll see where the franchise goes, but not one I'm going to go back to. As much as I enjoyed Jim Carrey's efforts and Ben Schwartz being the shining light of the movie. Those are the highlights. So I would give this, it's harmless. I could see families having a decent night out watching this, so I'll give it a 68.
Whoa, doing Price is Right rules over here.
It's like $900, $901.
$901.
Fuck you, dude.
And they get it, like they just get it, and then I don't know how the songs for Price is Right go,
but
oh
wow, congratulations, you won in a cheap way.
Yeah, you got a cool dishwasher, idiot.
So what is our average score, Keith?
A 61%.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I approve of that.
It's a fresh score, but just barely.
I'm just I'm not gonna sit here and say that you should, dive deep into the Sonic the Hedgehog stories that have, permeated the fan base into like all the different video games, because I feel like that's going to get real naughty real quick, and it's also going to alienate a lot of people who like don't know what's going on there. That makes a lot of sense, but I also think maybe just take a little bit more from the plot lines of the video games, because we didn't even really touch on this at all, but like when you compare this to like other video game movies, it feels like it's accidentally like hitting those same, like, we just didn't do the research, very like, Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo and the Mario Brothers movie. Like,
my name is Sonic.
Yeah, exactly.
My middle name is my last name is Hedgehog.
Well, I didn't like that Sonic was a plumber from Brooklyn. I feel like that didn't make any sense to me. Like, that was really weird.
I agree. There is a disconnect, and unfortunately, there's this reputation for video game movies of not hitting the mark, because there's a lot of great video games with great stories, but for some reason they can never translate it into film properly,
which is weird, because I don't I don't know, it doesn't feel like it needs to be like that, but like I don't know, it just seems to be a common plague.
We'll know it when we see it.
We'll know it when we see it. Just like pornography.
No, it's true. I know I'm lifting that quote from the famous Supreme Court case, but like we'll know a good movie when we see it. Like a good video game movie when we see it.
Do you think The Last of Us will have Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie? The Last of Us.
I think they'll talk about it. I think that's going to play a big arc in Ellie's plotline. She'll say, "I got to go fast."
Yeah,
I think it's better. I know it was planned to be a movie at some point, but I think turning it into a TV show.
Right.
I mean, HBO is putting a lot of money into this. They're banking on this to be the next hit.
In a niche world of millions of streaming services, you can make whatever you want, adapt whatever you want. And I would love to see a Mario Kart movie. I'll watch that in the same vein as like Wacky Racers or something. Give me that.
All right.
I want Mario Tennis.
Yeah. I just want Wii Bowling to be Wii Bowling to be a reality show.
How about like a Mario?
Waluigi gets introduced.
How about a Mario Party?
Oh my god!
A Mario Party movie, but it's just watching 4 people play Mario Party for 2 hours.
That's just Twitch. You just described Twitch.
Yeah. But you pay admittance to movie theater.
Yeah, you have to pay to watch that. Wow, what if a theater became so bold that they were willing to like stream a Twitch onto the big screen and you had to pay money to just sit there?
Don't count anything out, man.
You know what? I mean, listen,
That's gonna happen. That's gonna happen.
With people getting vaccinated, everyone, being good during the quarantine, and we're seeing stuff open up again. Listen, movie theaters, if that's what you're doing to keep safe and making sure everything's fun. Hey, listen, to make some money, you can come and watch a live stream on the big screen. Well, come watch some
whatever
Twitch.
whatever you want, whatever gets you in the theater there.
Mazel.
So I will officially decree that on Sonic the Hedgehog we are siding with the critics.
Yeah, come on, guys.
So
Sorry.
there we go.
Yep.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
This one didn't go fast. Sorry. Never mind.
It did not. But thanks, Dan, for joining us. This is our final movie review of the season.
It is my pleasure. Sorry, most of mine was a drunken rant.
That's okay. Our first tipsy drunk episode. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We'll have to do more.
I would. This is a blast.
I'm down for that. Let's try it again. But this was a lot of fun. Dan, as always, great talking about movies with you.
Yes, thank you.
It was an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for having me on again. It was a real treat.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Thank you to everyone for listening to our episodes this season. Check out our bonus episode coming next week. And with more divided films coming later in the year, we'll be back soon. So have a good one, guys. Thanks a lot.